Hi, I'm Kat Bradley. I'm a professional trail and ultra runner, the 2017 Western States champ and the top American at the 2018 UTMB Ultra Trail de Mont Blanc. With trail running, it's really important to have access to your glutes, and that's something that I didn't have for a long time. I ended up being really calf active, so like my calves grew like crazy and my glutes shrunk like crazy. I had a lot of injuries because of that, and a PT and I developed this pre-run activation routine to kind of get my pelvis and core working so I would have access to my glutes. It's not to strengthen, really, it's just to really activate the muscles, so not to put stress on the body. So first I start with depends on how hard the workout is, a 1 minute to 30-second plank. Then I do, again, just to activate, so keeping it short, depends on the workout, but a 30-second to 15-second side plank on each side. Then, once all this is activated, to get it all kind of working together, I do these guys. So this mimics your stride where your arms working and your glutes working, and I bring it in, and then I bring it back. And that's just to get my pelvis and core working together so I can get to those glutes. And I do 10 of those on each side, and I alternate to mimic the stride. And then I do a couple squats while really making sure I lift my pelvis up. So I go back, then I go up, and I make sure I lift this pelvis using my core, and that really turns on like the lower glute right here. That helps you pop uphill. And I do 10 on each side. And again, the idea isn't to get sore and tired before the workout. It's to just activate everything. The first thing I do after my run, the very first thing is I take a protein powder, because I know if I don't take it immediately after, I won't want to take it later. I crave it right after, not at all later during the day. So that's number one thing. The number two thing is I roll before I stretch. So I use this softball to get my low back right here, my glutes right here, and then my hips right here. And that for the next day will, again, access to the glutes in trail running is really important to get you, up the hills, but not only that, for stability going down the trail. So making sure everything around them, like hips, back, and the glutes themselves are loose to make sure you can really access those the next day. So as I said, I have a lot of calf problems throughout the year. Knock on grass, I haven't had any in a while, but if something's gonna get hurt, that's gonna be that. So this, after rolling all my glutes and low back, I use this bad boy to really dig into the calf. And I make sure, again, to do that right after the run while I'm still warm, because, I'm able to get into it a little bit better immediately after I run. Then after I'm done, I do a series of hip stretches and ankle mobility stuff. So the first one I do is I make sure, first of all, that my pelvis is tucked in and facing forward, my leg is out, and my core is strong. You don't have to be flexing, but it's just holding yourself upright. Then I pulse forward a little bit like this. So you don't want a static stretch, especially after you run, because everything is really warm, so you may be able to stretch further than you should. So you want to just pulse to make sure you don't, stretch too far. And then I'll do a couple different variations of that. I'll go on this side like this, just to get that to work in a little bit. And then I'll just go on this side too and lean over this way. Then I'll do it on the other side, pulse a little bit there, pulse a little bit there, pulse a little bit there, and you really feel it. Yeah, and then I do a series of just, hip openers. Lay on my back and I do a couple windshield wipers, do a couple of these, and everything is really to open up the hips and make sure they stay open for the next day. Then I get up, and the very last thing, when I'm all, loose, the very last thing I do is leg swing. So I go forward, then I go to the side. Yeah, so that's my post-run recovery routine. Sweet.